Hello everybody, Ben Rhodes here, Devon and Cornwall Business Council. I'm here today with Alastair Banks, one of the directors at Optics, one of our sponsor organisations, and we thought today would be a really good opportunity to just run through some of the issues and challenges around graduates and graduate retention within the region. And I wanted to speak to somebody who is able to give me some real tangible feedback as to what we need to be doing as a private sector and as a business organisation to try and help our businesses down here to recruit the best talent and to improve opportunities down here for some of the best talents out there. So welcome, Alastair.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for joining me. How have you found it over the last few years? I mean, your company's been growing pretty quickly. You're sort of just shy of £1 million turnover, 20 or 30 people. Do you recruit graduates? If so, has it been going well, or have you had challenges?
So we do recruit challenges. We do recruit graduates. It's been challenging though, I'll be honest. In fact, all recruitment's been challenging over the last couple of years, especially around the kind of world of web development. But dealing with the universities is something that I've certainly done with Exeter University. I don't know if it's worth me saying a bit about my backstory, but I was at Exeter University myself between 97 and 2000, computer science graduate. I graduated, I stayed here locally because I'd started up Optics at the time, and pretty much my entire cohort of people disappeared off to London and Manchester, and people like to work for the big firms, the IBMs of this world and PwCs and people like that. So the retention of people in this part of the country at that time wasn't very good, and I still kind of get the feeling that that's the case even now. So if I go to Exeter University to ask them for, say, a computer scientist, majority of them are being picked up by those big firms still. So it's a bit of a problem, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I guess the big firms are still doing, although it's been slow in the last few years, they're still doing their milk rounds, they're still very predominant brands and aspirational brands to work for, and I guess especially with the calibre of graduates from certainly Exeter University, but all of our universities down here, they're aspirational and they want to go and work for some of those companies and early in their careers.
That's exactly it. And I had this very conversation with a lady at Exeter University who said to me pretty much just that. They said, look, it's great that Optics have a position in for a graduate, but these graduates want the big names on their CVs, which I do understand. But at the same time, I think they're probably missing out on major opportunities in this part of the country as well. And maybe it's just because of the way I'm wired, being slightly entrepreneurial, but very entrepreneurial. But I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond rather than the other way around, if that makes sense. Sure. But I do understand the whole CV thing as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So one of the things that we're trying to do as an organisation is to support local businesses, the private sector down here, some of our best regional brands, if you like, to become much more aspirational for the graduates. So wherever possible, we're trying to get businesses into universities, get them in nice and early, so it's not a case of turning up on graduation day and expecting to sort of be top of the list for the graduates, but trying to get them to build a presence, build their brand within organisations. Do you think that's a good approach?
Definitely, and it's really interesting you say that, because I've just remembered a conversation I had with Exeter's business school about that. This is pretty scary. I do a talk to I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's working year in placement or something course, where they do a year out in placement and then the other 3 years around it, and I teach their second years, and what they said to me is that the PwCs, the IBMs, all of these big companies are getting in earlier and earlier every single year. So whereas when I went to university, they would pick us up in the third year, for example, now they are right in there at the first year, and they're sponsoring these people and they're getting them in before the Optics of this world have even got a chance to get these people. So I think as a local employer, I need to be in there from day one, pretty much, saying I'm interested in graduates. So
and again, I guess that relationship, that developing that relationship, spending the time, putting the effort into really fostering a relationship with the university will help you to be sort of there or thereabouts when some of the big sort of national global brands come in.
Yeah, and I guess what I need to try and do is think about how can I be different and interesting to those graduates where those big guys maybe aren't able to. So we were just talking before about potentially helping shape some of the courses that they do.
Yeah.
So I've been speaking to Exeter University about whether I could do some kind of mini lectures on some of their courses in the hope that I will build a relationship with some of those graduate, or not graduates at the time, but those students, and they may well want to come and work for my firm afterwards. So it's things like that we're starting to think about, and I'd encourage any employer to get in touch with a university and and tell them who they are and what they're looking for.
Yeah. Are you having any particular challenges with any particular skills? Are there specific courses that you think as an organisation you need to be targeting? Or?
So web development is a big problem. All sorts of kind of programming, is I think a challenge actually for this country as a whole. Yeah. I haven't spoken to too many people in other parts of the country, but I've spoken to a lot of people in this part, and we all are finding the same thing. And I think, from what I understand anyway, when I left university as a computer science grad, in 2000, then there was this period of almost 10 years where computer science wasn't treated as almost like a serious subject. So we've got this massive gap now of people who don't have those skills.
Yeah.
And the government and everyone else has only just realised this, and that's why we're seeing things like Digital Eagles and Barclays teaching people how to code, and that they've realised that it's a big problem. So
yeah, it is, and the future of digital is so strong and so disruptive.
Absolutely.
That any business down here, if they're not taking digital leadership seriously and making sure that they're for a different future, I think is going to be in trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing I think about a lot is, if you want somebody to train you in digital in the UK, you've got to go to a big city to have it happen, which is a shame, because this part of the country has got some fantastic digital businesses, but I think we probably need a bit more around that kind of leadership, or CPD, or whatever you might want to call it, and some of that is probably down to the universities, and perhaps we can do more to work with them in providing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's about how close industry is with academia.
Yeah.
Because one of the big challenges that the sector's facing is, and I mean, we've sort of gone off track a tiny bit and focusing on digital, which is fine because it's really important. But one of the challenges that we're facing is that ultimately we haven't got the best and the brightest necessarily out of industry and into a teaching environment. And it's how we blend industry within the teaching environment to make sure that we're getting the best people teaching and the best information, most up-to-date information across, because a lot of work's been done around how we develop courses in these sorts of topics, both at sort of school FE and also HE, higher education, and it's really hard to do, because actually the guys in industry are earning quite big sums of money, and they're very busy, and they're very sought after, and the demand is high. So
that's a challenge that it's going to be hard to solve, I guess.
And I think the only way we're going to get close to it is by encouraging them to spend a bit of time, whether it's CSR or whether it's a bit of time out of their businesses, their busy schedules, to give back.
So almost what you're saying there is that you almost can't complain as a company if you're not putting the work in to help those universities in the first place, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there is no point at all in the sort of private sector businesses out there saying, do you know what, universities aren't producing what we need, unless you're putting in, as a business, you're putting effort back into the system to try and help them produce the sorts of skills that you need now and into the future.
Definitely.
It's always interesting when you talk about sort of future skills and actually how many businesses really know what skills they're going to need in 5 or 10 years' time. I don't know how many of them think about that sort of time frame, but I think it's easy to then lump it onto the education providers to say you guys go and do it.
No, it definitely is. Yeah.
So it's always a challenge, but I guess. Just wrapping things up, it's been really interesting talking to you. Thank you, Alastair. I mean, it's really the organisations like ourselves. I mean, we spend a lot of time and effort really working with our members, our sponsor organisations, to try and help embed them within the universities, for this very reason that we fundamentally believe that the earlier they're involved, the more they're involved in supporting universities, you know, it's almost like you want to be top of the list of the phone book to make sure that where graduates are showing an interest in staying and they've got the right skills and abilities, then you know your organisation's going to have the opportunity to pick them up. And I think that's just really important, given what you said earlier about how the sort of dominance and how much effort is put in by some of the big corporate organisations. You know, we've got to think a bit differently down here, and we're down here where, you know, the businesses are operating day in day out across the region, and you know, we've got that opportunity to build strong and lasting relationships.
Definitely. And what I really like about being a sponsor with you guys is that you do that intro thing so well as well. You know, I know that's predominantly what you're about, but you've put me together with people that I wouldn't have been able to get together with without that introduction. So, you know, organisations like yourself are just critical to people like me. So yeah, thanks for all the help on that as well. Great. And I understand you have your own graduate as well now. So
yeah, we do. Yeah,
you're walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just got recruited our first recent graduate. So yeah, it's really exciting, and already Chloe is adding loads of new thinking to how we do things. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Good.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Take
Cheers,
care.
Ben. Thank you very much.